Greetings, friends, old and new. Thanks for coming to the celebration of the center's 45th anniversary, which is quite a thing to celebrate. And I hope there will be a good bit of that because so much has transpired in the last, 45 years and before that. But especially as I look at it, so much has been done, so much has been expanded. There's programs and networks and contacts with people since I retired in 2009. And thanks for that kind of thing to Stephanie, of course, and her executive leadership, and to Stanley, who's carried on the work with faith-based initiative and related matters, and to so many others I've used, many I know, but many I don't, who have come to work or intern or have participated in events in the center. And it's delightful because a great deal has been done, and that's to be celebrated. When I think about the past, of course, for me, it goes back to the early 70s, and I'm sure some of you who are here are among the crowd that was doing that in the early 70s, when a number of people began to talk. And it took a lot of talking, a lot of meetings, lots of arguments and get together of how can we initiate an organization with a definite perspective on life that's rooted in our biblical faith, but the life of politics, the life of government, the task of citizen responsibility. How could we do something that would be of use to the public good, not just self-interest, and would draw people in to support it? Not a single issue group, not a lobby group for Christians, nothing of the kind of traditional party or interest group process which dominates the United States. It comes closest to some of the think tank kind of groups, but it also has a heavy emphasis, as you know, on civic education. So we weren't sure it could work, and we did, but little did we know in the start, I think from about 77 to 80, 78 to 81, I moved with my family to Washington when we set up the first office. Little did we know, nor did we know how to anticipate what might emerge, but what might come. So from that point of view, looking back on that way, all that way to where we are today, it's quite rewarding to me to see what's unfolded, to meet people who have come long after I left, or maybe about the time I was leaving, and have contributed so much to the center's development. I'm sure that many who are there, board members and so forth, will be saying something about, explaining and talking about these past things, and we should. At the same time, I'm increasingly concerned, as many of you are, about the developments in the United States, which are not just hospitable or encouraging to this kind of work. And there's a crisis of civic life, crisis of citizenship, a crisis of government. All the signs from constitutional to electoral to civic knowledge, civic interest for good reasons, for the public good, divided Congress. And these are long-standing. I mean, they've been emerging for some time, but it seems to be at a really crunch point in the last few years. And it has led me to be giving more and more thought to these basic questions. How do we address the constitutional, electoral, and other issues of our day? And not to focus only on that, the international arena, the world, the globe in which we participate, it's ever more clear, if it wasn't to most of you for some time, that the world is no longer simply a world of states that kind of do their own thing. We are all networked through economy, through trade, through climate, through everything. And the institutions that are so crucial for that, many of them, like UN and the World Bank and others, created during or near the time of post-World War II, many of them are in question, and they aren't enough. They aren't doing enough. I'm not trying to talk about agonies that would weigh us down, but rather to say there's a challenge here. There's a great challenge, and I hope that as we celebrate looking back, that we can give ever more thought and prayer to where we go in the future, and that whole sense of we don't know what will come, but we know what a task is, and we'll ask for God's guidance. And that would be into these kinds of things. There'll come a time when the center can have as much research and policy work being done in many of those areas, that we have a voice about the meaning of our rule of law, pluralist approach to civic life, and that we can help to educate more and more citizens who seem to be so uninterested in, or disappointed with, or just taking distance from the political life we now live. That's what I'm hoping as I look to the future. And I think it's entirely possible. These things take a long time for development, but that can be in the expansion. And that as we both look back and look ahead, giving thanksgiving and offering our prayers of hope and desire for wisdom to know what to do, when to do, in the time in which we are with the gifts we have. That looking forward in hope and expectation for what will come, that both of those, whether it's thanksgiving looking back or prayers of hope for wisdom of what might come, we know and should know and remind ourselves regularly, it's all done and should be done, has been done, pro rege, for the King. Celebrate, cheers, thank you.